Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome. I know we were supposed to start at 1 o'clock sharp with my good friend Johan Benson, former Quebec Player of the Year. He's currently in Florida, where the PGA Tour swing is on in full effect. But it's 5 after 1. We had coordinated this with Johan Benson, and I've texted him 800 times. He has the link to the chat. But I'm sure, I hope everything's okay. Certainly, I know he was going to join us from the range because that's where Johan is based. Johan's based out of Florida, certainly over the course of the winter months, and then ultimately transitions back home where he teaches formerly out of Laval-sur-le-Lac, and now I believe he's with Le Mirage. And of course, one of the great players to come out of this province. And I was very curious to pick his brain on a bunch of different topics, including what is now confirmed to be true. Anthony Kim comes out of his hibernation. Where was Anthony Kim for the last 12 years or so? Well, we know where he is now. He's now a wild card member of the Live Golf family that is back in action. They've had 2 events go this season, and lots to talk about, certainly when it comes to the world of competitive golf in the men's space with what's going on with the PGA Tour, fresh off Vedanta and the Mexico Open, and the significant drop in viewership on TV year to date from Tony Finau winning in 2023 to what happened and a new first-time winner on the PGA Tour. It's that 3 times now this season on tour. So there was certainly lots to talk about from the world of men's golf. And as always, Johan is a phenomenal teacher. And I was really hoping to pick his brain on some of the drills perhaps we can start working on today as we get set for a brand new local season, which is right around the corner. And for the diehards, for the nut jobs out there, Golf International, Golf 2000, the famous, and I got to give them full credit, it's brilliant marketing if you think about it, because they get all the attention in the world, locally speaking, because they're the last to close and they're the first to open year after year after year. And there was a report early this week that Golf International, which is I guess near the Lacole border, based on the crazy temperatures we've had here in Montreal the last 2 days, 13, 14 degrees, but it's going to drop, we're going to get a 25-degree swing from today into tomorrow morning. And Golf International was primed to kind of open up midweek this week. If not, they were going to open next week. So for the crazies, I mean, I really mean it in a complimentary way, that the crazies were going to get out there and muck it around in the mud and go for a nice long walk and probably lose 24 golf balls. But listen, you want to get out there, I don't blame you. So we've got outdoor driving ranges that are starting to pop open and get open. And some golf courses, the public ones that generally live off of green fees and everything else are getting set, and I'm super excited. Obviously, I've got my Kanawaki hoodie on today, and of course, that is my golfing home. And if you're looking to level up in your own golf world, in your own golf game, I encourage you to check out the Kanawaki Golf Club. You won't find a better core of members, access to the first tee. And whether you live in the West Island, my dad lives in Pierrefonds. Every time I bring him to the club as a guest, he's a member at a place out in, I guess, Bazaar, at St. Raph. And every time I bring him over, father-son tournaments or, just now that he's retired, I play a lot more golf with him. He's always amazed at how quickly he gets to Kanawaki from the West Island. And so it's no excuse, really. It's the 20 to the 13, boom, boom, boom. You're right up there on the Mercier Bridge and you get over it. So everybody else, I have the luxury of playing a lot of golf at a lot of really nice places. And I've seen the membership core at pretty much every prestigious club in this province. And I will put my golf club's members up against anybody in terms of camaraderie, in terms of togetherness, in terms of keeping the friendship open throughout the course of the off season, right? I used to joke all the time that I had seasonal friends. Seasonal friends. You know what a seasonal friend is? Someone that, whether you're a tennis player, outdoor tennis player in the summer months, and you always get together, you establish a playing partner relationship. And then when the season closes, the texts are sporadic. They're not as consistent as they were in season. So I had a lot of seasonal friends, and then I joined Kanawaki. And as a direct result, now I have real friends that we talk and we socialize in the off season. So all that rambling on my behalf to let you know that I had a guest scheduled for today, and I didn't disappoint. I don't think anybody's watching this live stream, so I'm really talking to myself essentially because I had a guest and I didn't want to let anybody down. I promoted this, get it going and everything else. So I want to talk briefly about the Montreal Canadiens, I suppose. that their 5-game winning streak came to an end yesterday when they beat Arizona, and they were lucky to do so. Let's be honest here. I don't know how much of the game you watched. If you're interested at this point of the season, I mean, when we set the table for Montreal and Arizona at the Bell Center last night, it was two teams on a combined 17-game losing streak, two teams going nowhere rather quickly. So, I don't know how much attention a lot of people paid or what the level of interest is in terms of, wins and losses, because at this point, it really doesn't matter. Honestly, it doesn't really matter that much. But I will say this. I did want the Canadiens to win. I did want them to beat Arizona because I obviously, I don't think anybody here loves to lose. Whether you're on Team Tank or not, ultimately, I think we can all find common ground. Nobody cheers for consistent losing, right? Certainly now that the Canadiens have established themselves as one of the 7 worst teams in the NHL over the course of 59 games now, that I wanted them to lose. I wanted them to lose. I wanted them to beat Arizona. And then I'm good if they lose the next 4 games, because yesterday was the most winnable game of this week. They're in Florida tomorrow, Tampa Bay, Nashville on Tuesday, an 8 o'clock start there next week, and then they got Carolina. So that's the next 4-game road trip for the Montreal Canadiens. And it's going to be a tough watch. It's going to be a tough sled, and it's going to be a real uphill battle for this team, knowing that they're starting to wear down a little bit. And by they, I talk about the first line. Nick Suzuki scored again. He's on pace for 79 points this season, which is unbelievably surprising. I didn't think he was going to get there this quickly. I always had belief that Nick Suzuki was a good player, was worthy of being in the conversation to be considered as the number 1 center, and he's certainly playing it like it now. I mean, I love his defense, and we saw it last week against Buffalo with a comeback stick check. We saw it yesterday again. I mean, the hustle on this guy, and I'll put it up against someone like Logan Cooley of Arizona, who we saw yesterday, who has a lot of, growing up to do when it comes to earning NHL experience. When Yoel Armia scored his 10th of the season last night against Arizona, beating Connor Ingram with a nice shot, Logan Cooley was the back check. And if you go back and check out TSN Sports Center or go to the Canadiens website and watch the Yoel Armia goal, you'll see a gliding, really not moving his feet, bent over at the waist Logan Cooley. And look, he's a kid. Same draft class as Juraj Slafkovsky, who is now, again, hit a wall. Slafkovsky got himself in penalty trouble. The coach recognized that. And what happened afterwards? He didn't get a lot of ice time. So there's a lot of experience to learn there. And I appreciate Nick Suzuki's hustle a lot, even a little bit more than his production, because you know what defense is? Defense is hard work. And, we're talking about a team with the 7th worst record in hockey, with Ottawa's loss yesterday and Montreal picking up the 2 points. Now, Montreal and Ottawa keep, jostling back and forth here. So it's Montreal ahead of Ottawa today. And who knows by the time we speak on Friday what the position in the standings is going to be. Montreal plays at Florida tomorrow night at 7. That when I watch Juraj Slafkovsky, this is what I think is happening. He's got 30 points. I think he's had I would call it a breakthrough season for him. And for those that thought perhaps he was a little bit of a bust and was never going to pan out to be this guy, I think people are starting to walk back those comments. We certainly don't hear them speaking as loudly as they did before he kind of found this groove. And, he's getting rewarded for the work. He gets there an hour early. He works before everybody's there. He's really that guy. First in, last out, and he fires pucks, and he works on a shot. He even mentioned in the Slovakian newspaper that we were doing on the press review on the morning show today that, he gets exhausted, but he's he can always catch up on sleep. So this guy wants it, and he wants it bad, which I love. I mean, you certainly, you would never hear the opposite of that, but I think if Slafkovsky was, let's say mailing it in or not putting in the extra hours and putting in the extra work, we wouldn't hear about anything. There wouldn't be stories written about him about that. So I think it's very important to point out the positives, to point out the growth, and understand where the Montreal Canadiens are. And it's very important that they have a player like Nick Suzuki, who's the captain of this team, who plays like a captain, who's responsible and now productive, on pace for 79 points, which brings us to the opposite of Nick Suzuki, and that's Josh Anderson. Josh Anderson went shotless again against Arizona last night. That's 3 consecutive games for Josh Anderson without a shot on goal. And when you look at his batch of his last 5 games, he has 5 shots on goal in his last 5, but has none in his last 3, and had 4 shots in 1 game against Buffalo. I mean, you talk about disappearing. No kidding, Jordan Harris decided to look over to his wing and saw an open Josh Anderson and said, you know what? Jordan Harris, I'm sitting on one goal. I'm just going to snipe this shot and beat Connor Ingram, and that's what he did. What a nice goal. What a great game, by the way, by Jordan Harris. Always positive to see these young blue liners gain experience, gain confidence. Arbor Jackey's game has I think, reached another level. How many times did you see him against Arizona kind of with confidence, carry the puck, go down low, put a shot on Connor Ingram, and generate a chance or two? Because, when the Suzuki line gets off the ice, and yesterday was different. Tanner Pearson scored. Yoel Armia scored. Jordan Harris scored. Suzuki into an empty net to close the game in a 4-2 final. That the depth scoring is obviously a massive challenge and trying to find it somewhere. And I think Joshua Roy is going to be a part of that solution moving forward. But the Canadiens, in these final batch of games of the regular season, my friends, this is kind of what they're doing. And this is obviously, working with Connor McKenna every day on the morning show, doing 4 hours of sports talk, 98% of which focuses around the Montreal Canadiens. Obviously, I'm watching. And I like watching because I like storylines. I like seeing how guys fight through, push through challenges. Like, I'm very anxious to see how Yuri Slafkovsky performs in Florida tomorrow. Even when he was given ice time after his lack of discipline in the game where he took 2 high-sticking minors yesterday, that, he laid a big hit down in the third period. It's all about bounce back, like, we can all make mistakes. It's normal. We make mistakes every day. It's are we good at learning from those mistakes and avoiding making those same mistakes again and again? And it's a challenge for a young team. And I really do like Martin St. Louis' approach every single day. I think he says the right things. The bullshit meter with MSL really doesn't go off for me. I don't know how y'all feel about that, but I've been impressed with the way things are going. And I know it's going to take time. And I still believe, where the Canadiens are going to draft this year, obviously anywhere between, let's say, 7 and 5 or something like that the Canadiens are going to probably be in this same position when you and I are here talking again at this time next year. So it's not perfect. It's far from perfect. I'm anxious to see what type of moves, if any, are going to be made between now and March 8th. As I talked to you today, we're 9 days away from NHL trade deadline. I was at the gym today, and as I was getting warmed up before my workout got going, a buddy who I guess I've developed a little bit of a relationship with knows that I'm on TSN 690 every day. And he asked me today, as I was like stretching on the mat, he's like, where's Jake Allen going? Where's Jake Allen going? I'm like, where's Jake Allen going? I'm going to pull a true detective card. You're asking the wrong question. Who wants Jake Allen? And that's the thing where we go back 2 weeks ago, there was speculation about Allen and his availability and everything else. And there was rumors that maybe Colorado was looking, and I was like, Colorado? Like, what's worst case, best case? Best case scenario is Jake Allen comes in and obviously does better than he's done with Montreal this season. Worst case, which is probably more likely to happen than the best case, is Jake Allen has to come in and can't shoulder the load and can't pull it off, right? So the risk reward, it's not there for me. And I think the Canadiens would be lucky, honestly. No disrespect to Allen. This ain't personal. We're talking business. We're talking the business of hockey transactions. That it ain't personal. And that the Canadiens would be very, very fortunate if someone came calling for Jake Allen. And so the Canadiens move on to Florida tomorrow, the first of 4 away from the Bell Center. Their next game, I believe, is March 9th when they take on the Toronto Maple Leafs. So that's right after trade deadline. What are the Leafs going to do? Some words out of Toronto ahead of the March 8th trade deadline is that Toronto is willing to trade away their first-round pick for a right-handed defenseman, but it has to be the perfect fit. And I looked at Toronto. They gave up a 6-burger yesterday, and Ilya Samsonov is not the answer, and we always knew that. And it's fascinating to me. It really is fascinating to me to see 2 of Canada's teams that have a real chance. Laugh at Toronto because they never win, which is true. But they could, but why would you go to battle knowing you have such a question mark on goal? Like, we could talk about building or not building around goaltenders, man. You show me a team that has question marks, and I'm going to promise you I'm going to show you a team with a questionable goaltender. Hello, Edmonton. The Oilers have entered the chat. Remember, after their 16-game winning streak came to an end, they went through 10, 12 games with a save percentage around 860. 860, man. And they're going to go to battle? They're going to go to battle into the playoffs? I mean, I'm always for drama if it doesn't involve me or my family. And boy, oh boy, would I love to see the Edmonton Oilers lose in the first round of the playoffs. And I'd love to see it melt down. How much longer, can you suffer through being the greatest player in the NHL, and your team does absolutely, they've done nothing. Nothing. You know, if Jacob Markstrom is available out of Calgary, and Calgary is winning games now, picking up momentum, getting closer to a Western Conference wild card. I mean, if you're Edmonton, you're Toronto, why are you not selling out? Why are you not making the craziest of moves? Who cares? Like, I always believe this as it related to Carey Price a lifetime ago when he got that 10-year contract. I don't give a shit. If Carey Price wins one Stanley Cup with the Montreal Canadiens, then it's all good. It's every year and every red cent that's left after Price would win a Stanley Cup in Montreal, I don't care. That didn't happen, but my point remains. If I'm Connor McDavid and I'm the Edmonton Oilers, I don't care. Overpay, give first-round picks, give second-round picks, give prospects. Get me a goaltender. It's obvious what's missing. Now look at New Jersey, right, who's having a mulligan-type season. Jack Hughes was injured back and forth nonstop. What's New Jersey going to do? They're probably going to get Jacob Markstrom. And they're probably, if they don't, they're probably going to make a big move for a goaltender this summer because you can't afford to waste time. Teams with talented, super talent are wasting time thinking that, when the whistles get buried and the games become intense and really physical, who's going to bail you out of that? Leon Draisaitl? Morgan Riley? You know? No, you need a goaltender. A goaltender with a heart of stone that can come in there and shut it down and be a cold-blooded killer. And the Leafs and the Oilers don't have it. It's a shame. It's a shame they haven't fixed that. If you'll indulge me, I want to welcome WeCookMeals.ca to the family. I've been with We Cook Meals now for a week, and I got to tell you, as someone that went through the box food prep delivery more than once over the last 5 to 6 years, I think I found my home. Because not only is it all done for me, it comes perfectly sealed. I got 9 meals delivered. It's high in protein, high in veg. It's a great serving. And we're talking about having lean chicken, crisp, fresh vegetables. Everything's sourced locally. And we're eating nice servings for about $10 to $11 a serving. You take the equivalent of what you would get in an order with We Cook Meals and apply that to a restaurant, it's 3x what you're paying. And the convenience is off the charts. You know, the other places, easy prep. You still have a shitload of dishes to do afterwards, a ton of cleanup to do afterwards. Maybe you're going to screw it up because you're not that talented in the kitchen like I am. This is all diced, prep, put together. You heat in the oven, heat in the microwave, your choice. And boom, it's done, and there's no dishes other than the utensils you use to put in your mouth to clean up afterwards. It's the best of both worlds. You know I love my food. You know I wouldn't steer you in the wrong direction. Go see my friends and use the promo code STAR70 at checkout. I put a link in the description there. You can find it in the description of this video or on my profile, depending on where you're listening. Thanks to my friends at WeCookMeals.ca. Meals and snacks high in protein and healthy for you and obviously affordable. And I'll save you $70 on your first 2 orders by using promo code STAR70. So again, my apologies for those that were coming here hoping to see a real golfer, a real pro step up and give us his perspective because he's with the PGA guys. He's with them now in Florida. It's probably why he's not on this podcast with me today because he was going to join us from the range. He's with Mark Hubbard, who we used to caddy for on the PGA Tour. Hubbard's having a really strong season, coming off a good year last year as well. So it would have been interesting to get his thoughts, and hopefully we'll reschedule and plan this out again. In the meantime, thanks as always for following. You can always subscribe. It's free, and it means the world to support me by supporting my sponsors. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.